I want to welcome you all, and the official welcome is going to be from David Couch. And David is Associate Commissioner of Kids at the Department of Education. So David, I'll let you give them the welcome, the official welcome.
Welcome to Rupp Arena. As I said, I'm David Couch. I'm with the Department of Education. I lead the education technology effort for K through 12 for the state of Kentucky, and I've had the privilege of doing this for over 20 years. Recently, the Kentucky Education Technology System celebrated its 20th year. It was born out of the historic Kentucky Education Reform Act in 1990. In those 20 years, I've been fortunate enough to see Kentucky become the first in the nation to do many important things. Back in the early 90s, Kentucky became the first in the nation to have high-speed internet access to every school and district in Kentucky. We became the first in the nation and the best in the nation as equity of access for electronic tools for every student in our state. We became the first and the best with product and common systems across our state. Kentucky has always ranked as a top 5 state in the use of technology for instruction. Kentucky is the national leader in cloud-based computing in the United States. And we recently fielded something called the Continuous Instructional Improvement Technology System, once again a historic first. Kentucky is a national education technology leader. So if you're one of the best in Kentucky, you're one of the best in this nation. Additionally, this past January, Kentucky was recognized by Education Week magazine as one of the top 10 in education quality, and technology is a big reason we're in the top 10. Which leads me to the Kentucky Education Technology System's Student Technology Leadership Program, STLP. Kentucky was the very first to do this program like we're doing it, and it's been one of the best things we've ever done. It is unique and it's worth embracing and celebrating, and this year is the biggest ever. Now, one of the reasons I like doing this is it breaks barriers. So for those in the audience, please raise your hand if this is the very first time you've been in an STLP state championship. Raise your hand. It's a pretty good number. For how many of you this is the very first time that you've been in Lexington, Kentucky? Raise your hand. And for those, the very first time you have been in Rupp Arena. Now, we have the regional and state competitions to break barriers. Now, I can remember when I was a youngster growing up in Johnson County, the very first time I played against somebody in another part of the county. And then I remember the very first time I played against somebody from a county close to us. And then I remember the very first time I played against someone from a county far away from us. And I remember the very first time when I went to college, I played against someone from another state and then another country. And what it does for you, each time you do things like that, you gain the confidence that you can compete against not only those in your local community, but against the state's best and the nation's best. And that's one of the main reasons why we do this. We want you to see how well you can compete against those around the state and get the confidence in doing so. Just a few weeks ago, in this very floor, there was a state championship game between Louisville Ballard and Madison Central High School, right here, okay? And we have followed pretty much that same thing. Now, we had 16 regions throughout the state that were represented here, and they competed. And it was a neat thing to kind of watch happen is them all come here and compete for the state title. We also have the regional competitions at universities for a very strategic purpose. A lot of times we find the very first time a student has ever been on a university campus is through one of our STLP regional competitions. And that's a good thing. It, once again, crosses a barrier that they never had before and crosses a hurdle that they never had before. So the next time they go on that campus, they don't think anything of it. Another big purpose that we do this program and overall in the Department of Education is college and career readiness. Now, what I'm always impressed about is I go to the regional competitions and this state competition, youngsters of all ages, the way they can present to an adult they just met. That is a life skill to be able to do that. It's not always easy to do that. I can remember when I was younger, I would never been able to do something like this, even talk in front of this audience. But as you do it over the course of time, you gain confidence that you can do it. And the STLP is a good first hurdle, or good first step in doing that. I'm also impressed by the projects that I see in the regional state competitions. A very high percentage of them are how they can help fellow classmates, their teachers, administrators, and their community. It's really a spirit of bigger than oneself, which always I think is a good thing to gather in life. We also find technology tools are much more engaging experience for students and help them learn and better understand the instructional subjects, and a lot of the projects that I see are built for that purpose to help your classmates. I see innovation, creativity, and work ethic in your projects, and that's a very good thing. A few years ago, there was a book that was written. It was called In Search of Excellence. It studied the most successful companies in the United States for innovation, creativity, work ethic, leadership, and the skill of their staff. And they also tried to find the companies where their employees felt most valued. One of those companies, very successful companies, rented out Yankee Stadium in New York City, where the New York Yankees had just won the World Series. They called each person's name as they ran down, put their names on the big board, their faces on the big board. You know, Mary Jo from accounting, Bob from engineering, Sally from sales, as they ran out in front of Yankee Stadium. Their message to their employees was this: you are so important to the success of our organization, we rented out Yankee Stadium just for you. Our message to each student here today: you are so important to our state's future that we rented out Rupp Arena just for you. Your names and your schools will be shared over the loudspeakers. Your faces will be on the big screens. You will be on the big stage up here. Enjoy the moment. Take pride in it. Nearly 6,000 students and 1,100 projects competed in our 8 regional competitions in the past fall. Today, 450 of those projects competed against each other. While 3 schools will be selected tonight and will be flown to San Antonio in June to represent Kentucky at the International Society for Technology Education Conference, we greatly appreciate all those that competed today. Win or lose, you gave it at bat, and in life, that's an important thing to do. Lastly, I want to thank all those adults in the schools and district offices that champion the Student Technology Leadership Program. I also want to thank those in the Department of Education, the universities, the vendor partners we have, the state agencies, and the parents that volunteer your time to make STLP happen. Students, I want you to understand this. We don't get a lot of money to run this program. This is primarily a volunteer program, the goodness of people's heart, trying to help you all for a better way in life. So what I'd like for you to do is you give a high five or blow a kiss to those adults that made this happen for you right now. And from my personal view, I want to thank you, all the adults that help. I really appreciate your passion and your willingness to help all these years. It's not this year, but all these years. The first award that we're going to give tonight is the Lydia Sledge Award, and this will be the second year that will be given. 20 years ago, Lydia and I were part of the beginning of the Kentucky Education Technology System. Lydia led our instructional technology services and was the engine behind starting STLP. Lydia passed away last year, but we wanted her memory to continue. So at the very beginning of every STLP state championship, we will recognize what I call the MVP of STLP. This is the person or organization that goes beyond and above the call of duty for STLP. They have a passion for excellence, and they have a passion for the children of Kentucky. Now, last year, our very first awardee was our own Elaine Harrison Lane. And by the way, this will be Elaine's very last STLP state competition, and I appreciate your years of commitment and love of the children of Kentucky. I'm trying not to make Elaine cry. So over the past few months, we have asked for nominations from across the state for the second recipient of the Lydia Wells Sledge Award. And this is a person that, when you see them, you think of STLP, much like Elaine. They were here in the very beginning on working with our engineers, our regional engineers and our CETS engineers that we have, student engineers across the state. They helped their own district. They've been part of this program for a very, very long time, and he's now the executive director of the Kentucky Society for Technology Education. Our second winner, Gary Grant.
Wow, such a great honor. I'd like to thank everyone, but especially you students and you STLP coordinators. Guys, it's an awesome, awesome thing to be part of the Kentucky Student Technology Leadership Program. And as you see the graduates out working for Microsoft and Google and all the other big companies, you'll be there soon. Congratulations to all of you for being here at State.